in tech or otherwise, you have to really pay attention to what's going on and how it might affect you. I mean, I'm the vice president of the Cincy AI Catalyst, and a large part of what we talk about are regulations and responsible AI, and what does it look like from, just even a creation standpoint, software to be responsible and ethical, be able to comply.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Today, my guest is Elisha Herrmann. She's the owner and founder of What's in the Portfolio. Elisha, thanks again for spending some time on my interview series.
Yes, hey, thanks for having me. I love the opportunity to share more and hopefully inspire others to become business owners.
Absolutely, that's what we're trying to do here. So, to get started, would you share with the audience a little bit more about what's in the portfolio?
Yes, so I chose to showcase what's in the portfolio because I have this mixed bag of different companies, not only now, but in the past. So what's in the portfolio is actually a holding company for a lot of the investments or partner investments that I have with others, mainly they focused on pre-IPO stock, pre-IPO companies, but we also have a little bit of real estate and some other types of holdings within what's in the portfolio. So this is mainly a broad net for all of my investment assets to keep it centered and under one umbrella.
Because from our previous conversations, you're very busy. There's a few organizations that that you're currently running or a part of. So
Yeah, so I can share more about those. I
yeah,
started Triple E Realty in 2008. That's primarily a residential investment real estate company. Buy, hold. We have some flips and some other types of real estate investments going on there. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of Ohio, mainly focused on investment properties. I also have a crypto investment fund called Do Your Own Research with three other partners. So we started that a few years ago. Most of those are in, kind of run on their own mode right now. Uh, so I have more free time there. It's kind of get to a stable stage and then move on and see what's next. I, my husband and I, along with another partner that was couples, started an indoor golf facility in 2023, and we sold our interest in 2024, and now we're looking to create or acquire to see what's next for us.
so kind of a serial entrepreneur. Does that does that run in the family or?
Yeah, that's a great question. It does. So I grew up with my dad as he owned his own HVAC company. So I saw him on job sites. I, went with him to do taxes. My grandpa was also a real estate investor and agent. And so at some point in time, I also started helping them out by, letting in locked out tenants and helping with the yard maintenance. And so I kind of saw a little bit of this entrepreneurship going on as I grew up. And then I think as I started to get into my career, so my degree is in information systems. I've been in the tech world since 2007 for my formal career, I'll call it, and just started meeting others that were like-minded and, entrepreneur-like and have companies. And I'll say I have a very active friend group. I have friends that own a clothing design company, that own a horse racing betting app, that own, law firms. One has four dental practices. One has martial arts studios and sells curriculum all over. So as I started getting older, there were lots and lots of opportunities for me to learn and then, get interested and go down these entrepreneurial ship tracks.
Yeah, well, it's got to take a lot of time. I would think, but uh, so what's your biggest inspiration for starting multiple businesses and continuing to look for other opportunities? I mean, where does that come from?
And that's a great question. I saw it growing up. I think that was one of the ways that there was wealth building in my family through real estate. And I thought that was very applicable to me for someone that was starting out, with same salary right out of college that most people have, and just trying to figure out, well, where do I get to retirement? Kind of on
Right.
the fastest track. So that was one one way. But I also started as my formal job running companies or running certain aspects for companies and thinking, well, I'm doing all of these things anyway. I'm operating, a whole manufacturing facility. I'm drawing up the plans for moving your manufacturing facility overseas so you can save millions of dollars in tariffs every year. If I can do that, surely I can run my own business. So it was, gaining the confidence along the way. And I think lastly, I am female and I would love to see other females step in and, go down this path. And I think that it's easier if you know somebody that's doing it.
For sure. It's always better when you have someone to bounce ideas off of and learn from their struggles and the challenges that they face. So at least that it always helps me out. So I mean, I guess it could be this question could be individually for for just what's in the portfolio. It could be for all the different companies. But I mean, what are some of the biggest challenges or struggles that you've had to overcome, whether it's because you have multiple businesses or just in general?
I think I for me, I think one of the struggles I've had to overcome is really if any of the businesses that I've had partnerships in. You always think the best of everything and have great expectations, but it's like the saying goes in sales that nobody ever looks at the fine print in the contract until there's a problem, right? And so
Yeah,
I think some of the challenges have been when is it right to step away if something's not working? When is it right to double down and try to fix things? Most of my challenges have been really how to navigate those type of scenarios
yeah,
and learning from them.
for sure. If some of these business opportunities, have you gone into business with friends or family or just people that have the same interests?
Both. Some have been friends that have had interest. Some have been, I would say, friends at arm's length, so coworkers or other people in the industry that have had the same type of education, the same passion, especially in the crypto space. I think that's a good example.
Yeah,
Just really trying to understand, oh, well, I thought my expectation was maybe you'd put this many hours in, but we didn't, clearly communicate it, that sort of thing. So I guess I would say the struggle really comes into the communication and the boundaries and having everybody understand what their individual responsibility and role is. And I think that's really applicable to running any business,
yeah.
whether that be
Do,
partnership or
do you
not.
think there's bigger or different challenges when you go into business with a family member or friends compared to maybe just going in on your own or
Oh,
with people that are a little bit an arm's length away?
I think the closer you are to an individual, the harder it is to go into business with them because I think with every person, I'll just give an example of, I'm married. So you move in and you get married, and then you probably didn't know there were seven other ways that you could load a dishwasher, right? And so when you start going into these partnerships and getting to know people, you had anticipated or expect them to behave a certain way or to have the same values or something, and then they surprise you because you put this expectation in there without clearly communicating with one another. So it's those types of learnings that I think are a little bit more challenging. And then especially if it's a really close friend or family, you have the history, you're going to see them at Christmas, all of those other types of scenarios to deal with. So it's a lot more emotional than it is by yourself or, with a
Yeah,
partner who has just maybe joint monetary um, expectations or,
yeah,
passions.
yeah, yeah. I just think there could be challenges there, and the kind of a fine line you have to walk to maintain that friendship or
Oh,
family relationship post company being gone or buying it out or whatever it might be.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. With everything that you've done to this point, is there anything that you look back on, kind of hindsight 2020, and say I would have done that differently?
Oh, yeah, a lot. I think mainly it's kind of the missed opportunities, the ones that was
Yeah.
like, kind of sat out on the sidelines and didn't jump right into. I definitely, definitely with the real estate industry, I probably would have tackled commercial a little bit sooner, uh, and yeah, just gone for it. I think my biggest lessons are uh just having the confidence to go do it. I probably would have started much earlier with a lot of these things, knowing like, oh, once you get one under your belt, once you start filing taxes and doing other things, you're like, oh, it's a little bit easier, as
Yeah.
everything sort of is when you learn something new.
Yeah, it can be a challenge to take that leap, for your first business. I can't even imagine for your fourth, sixth, or eighth business.
Right.
Maybe it gets easier, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think I get a little bit more risk averse, but also my buy box gets tighter, right? It's
Yeah,
what's the time commitment? What's how long will this what's how many years for my break even return on investment?
yeah.
Who's managing this? It's a lot more how does it fit into my lifestyle now and what I want as my lifestyle versus maybe a monetary thing.
Well, that's actually a phenomenal lead in to my next question, which was just about balance. It's hard enough for an individual to balance just a business that they own and their business life and their personal life, let alone you have a career, you have multiple businesses. How do you fit all that together?
I I just don't think I take myself that seriously. And every day there every day there's something else is the priority. So it's really
Yeah,
having a really good grasp and understanding of what are the priorities today. And sometimes it's, sitting at the freezing soccer game or whatever and in the snow in March, and that's the priority for the day. And some days, the priority is making sure a sale happens or, you get a client to see something. So it's really goes on the day. I am a person that will work way too much. Yeah, so I have to really get, I will say messages from others that it's probably going out of bounds for the time being and kind of rein it in.
so you have a support team that pulls you back a little bit, says get out of the
Yeah.
office.
Yeah, get out of the office. Why are you up so late? That sort of thing.
I think we all need that to some degree. I find myself creeping back in the office at 10 o'clock at night when everybody's just going to sleep or they are asleep. And, then I get that text message, where are you?
Right.
You know, time flies at 2 o'clock in the morning,
It'd be,
when you're working. Um, so what are the biggest motivators that keep pushing you forward with additional opportunities? How do you stay focused with all that going on?
yeah, that's a great question. So right now, I feel like my time is pretty light. Everything is on autopilot, for the existing businesses. So I really don't have to do much. My main career is the focus and that. But I do ultimately have a goal of um, retiring with my own company. So it's really just looking at those opportunities now that will help me transition from, corporate into full-time, you know, owner operated company.
Do you want the owner operated company to be on autopilot as well, or do you want to be, when you retire from corporate, do you want to be really involved in it?
I think I'm looking at things that are value add and that I can scale and
Yeah,
really put something in there, but also that are large enough to have a support team underneath me so I can really have that work-life balance where I can leave and go to the kids' school or, go on
yeah,
vacation and really not have to worry about what's being done and understand and trust my team.
yeah. Yeah, we're a lacrosse family, so we know what it is to sit in the snow in March and watch games.
Right,
Um,
right.
but
Uh,
you have to go to them. I want to go to them. So that's why I left the corporate world, so I could attend freezing cold lacrosse
Soccer
games.
games, yeah, it's a good motivator.
It is. So, what are some of the biggest changes happening, um, in your industry? Whether it's the crypto side or real estate. What are some of the biggest changes you see happening?
I'll just go kind of widely. So my background in is mainly in tech, but it's also focused on the supply chain. And I think between tech, crypto, all of that, the biggest challenges and changes are going to be in any of the rate and regulation changes, governing body changes, and really being able to keep up with those. That could be sustainability, that could be tariffs, that could be a whole conglomerate of regulatory issues that one might need to have. I mean, even for small businesses, same with crypto when you have know your customer. Now, you're filing. I'm blanking on the regulation right now, but for every LLC that's filed, you have to have a named owner and put all of your information in. And I know that's been kicked down the line a little bit, but
Yeah.
every type of business is going through some sort of challenge when it comes to regulation and ensuring that they're keeping up with those, even tax code changes, that sort of thing. Um, so what I'm seeing all around is being able to keep up with the pace of change. And really in the economy right now, it's, kind of another concern.
Do you have a support team that keeps keeps up to speed on all the new regulations, whether it's tax or otherwise, or is this just something you personally keep up on?
It's something I personally keep up on. I was in a large part of my career, it was my role to advise customers on and clients on these. And so I have a steady stream of information that I rely on and that I trust and really keep up on those to see. I mean, even if you're getting into startup world and building solutions, say you build a tariff chatbot, just for
Yeah,
example, you still need to know all of these things. So it's in tech or otherwise, you have to really pay attention to what's going on and how it might affect you. I mean, I'm the vice president of the Cincy AI Catalyst, and a large part of what we talk about are regulations and responsible AI, and what does it look like from, just even a creation standpoint, software to be responsible and ethical and be able to comply.
yeah, that's a lot. And I think that's a lot to deal with for sure. So there's challenges with with new laws and that affect everybody's companies. Are there other big challenges that you see in your industry? Let's say somebody wanted to come in and do similar things to what you're doing. Do you see other challenges that are bigger on the horizon?
Um, I would say access to funding, I think, is going to be a little bit more challenging. There are, I think, at least what I've seen in terms of getting funding, either through seed rounds or through individual investors with hard money, it's becoming a little bit more harder. So, ensuring that your proposal's great when it gets out and, testing it out in front of friendly faces is becoming a lot more important than it was.
Yeah,
It's kind of going cyclical after the 2020 and then the big hype cycle. So
yeah,
I think that would be the other thing I'd be paying attention to right now. If you already are owning a business, maybe not such an issue unless you want to put some capital reinvestment in.
right. Yeah. I've been hearing a little bit about some of the challenges with funding lately. Where do you see your business or your in the next 1 to 3 years?
1 to 3 years. Great question. I would say probably in the next year or so, probably on just autopilot still, maybe growing a little bit, not much. I would say through year 3 to 5, probably put the gas on to probably acquire another business by then.
You just want to be busier, right?
And this is starting the transition out.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I tell you, a couple final questions, and then I'll stop throwing all kinds of questions at you. But what's the best business advice anybody's ever given you?
Oh, I think the best business advice is it's always emotional when it's yours. So I think that's, I have a friend that owns a business and he's been open for so many years and he still reads every single Yelp review, right? Every single one. And, it's emotional if you see a bad review or anything like that. And so the advice to just, it's emotional when it's yours. If somebody else would look at that and say, well, it was probably 1 out of 2,500 reviews, it's not that bad. Let's just see if there's something that you could do. But it's more
Yeah,
personal when it's your own. So I agree with that statement.
I do too. I do too. I've been there. Okay, final question. Let's say you run into somebody who's, because you've started so many businesses, you run into someone who's on the edge. They want to start their own business, they want to leave the corporate world, but they just can't get themselves to take that leap. What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say network. Just network and find a group. I'm in Cincinnati. There's a Cincinnati entrepreneurs group. There's a huge startup scene here. And even if you're not looking at a startup, which might be defined in like the software terms, there are a lot of resources around that are connected to those groups that can help you find funding, just even network to with other small business owners in the area to say, well, what did you do? How did you handle this? What were the steps that you took? Find a mentor, find somebody else
Yeah,
that's either maybe not competing, but can help you, not competing, but complementary to what you're doing, that would be happy to answer questions for you. Because there is so much to figure out if you're not sure where to start. What are payroll taxes? What do I have to
yeah,
file? How do I hire my first person? Do I set up a website? All of these, how do I do that? Do I need a
yeah,
domain? There's so many questions. And reaching out to somebody that can smooth those over so you're not spending, not so much research and can get to the solution
yeah,
first is always a good step.
yeah, yeah. When I talk to other business owners, that having that mentor or someone to talk things through at the beginning seems to be a common theme, right? The people that had a little bit smoother of a startup, and it's never smooth, but smoother. They had someone to bounce ideas off of, and the people that had a little more rough go just went into
Yeah.
it without really talking to anybody. So I think you have to have somebody to talk to at the beginning who's
I
been there,
think
done that.
Yeah, I think so too. I would just also offer, I think criticism or constructive feedback is always really challenging, but I've actually come to embrace it a lot more to be challenged with questions. There's a lot of things that I haven't thought of, or others may have a different point of view. So the more diverse you can get in that type of feedback will really help you hone on your value proposition, your buy box, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So I used to be afraid of it. Now I welcome it mostly.
yeah,
Just to make it better and refine it. And I think the other thing, at least for me, is I'm again female, but there are different programs that are available to, minority business owners, of which females qualify for. So just take a look to see if there are any of those resources that are available. I think they can really help with grants or other things to help give you a push, especially not working too, to give you a little push in the right direction for starting a business.
yeah. That's good advice. Well, listen, I really, really appreciate you spending time with me. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way?
I would say just on LinkedIn, if they have the title of the show, if my name's in there, to get it all spelled correctly, LinkedIn is the best way.
We'll make sure that they can get everything spelled right. I promise.
Good.
Um,
Sure.
listen. Once again, I really appreciate you taking part in my interview series. And before we end the podcast, I just want to do a quick shout out to my marketing team that makes these podcasts work. Without them, I probably would never put out a podcast, let alone 75 of them. So, Alyssa and Lisa from Check Off Your List in Columbus, thank you very much. And for everybody out there listening, thanks for taking part in another Mastering the Numbers. And we'll catch up with you on the next episode. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.